Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So this is, I believe now, part 8 of the Spectating series. In the series, what we try to do is go into a round, and if we get eliminated early, we watch from the very start to the very end.
So much
If look at that.
If he just got like 4th place.
Yes, somebody's already talking in my game, so I apologize for that. But you know, I'm gonna leave it in. What I normally do is I might actually calm and talk to them. I'll say, hey, what's going on, guys? Let me go say hi to them. See if they type. I'm recording a video. I'm going to do my best to play with you guys. I will ping. I might mute the comms just as FYI, but I'll bring them back up. I'm just kind of introducing the video. Alright, well, we'll see how this goes. With the series, whether our team throws or not, the intention is not to throw the game. The biggest thing is I play to the best of ability with my teammates, and yeah, we just kind of go from there. But a lot has changed with ranked. Right now I'm doing specifically Platinum, 100% because that's where a lot of people are stuck at. Even at Plat 2, which is my current rank, it is 0.5% of the overall player base. You can see that there's Preds, Masters, a lot of really skilled players. So I'm going to try to bring up that voice comm again because I do want to converse with them every once in a while. I'll pass it to them. I'll let them take Jump Master. Remember, how fast you loot off drop is more important than it ever has been. Because the zone closes faster and it hits harder. I pass it. I'm up for dropping anywhere. I'm a little worried about them cursing, so because I try to keep the video cursing free, but I will do my absolute best to ping. I will follow their lead though. Now, if we drop hot, I mean, there's not much we can do. So it seems like they're dropping pretty safe. Kings Canyon is third-party central. You really have to book it to zone, and it's very important that we hit beacon. So I'm the beacon legend specifically, and so is Bloodhound. And of course, normally I run Watson in this series, but for this episode, I'm going to run Vantage. Let me know if you enjoy seeing me on Vantage. If not, we can go back to Watson. It's perfectly fine as well. So knowing where the zone is very, very important. Remember, look at the timer. It's already at 55 seconds. I'm going to adjust this volume. I apologize. It might be just a little loud, so I apologize for that. Remember, somebody gave me feedback whenever I was live streaming that I might be a little loud. I'm going to adjust my volume here on my headset, and we are good to go. So you want to be very quick with your loot. Get your loot pattern down. And unfortunately with Kings Canyon, the loot density is pretty low. I'm already wasting time looting. That's my bad. I wasn't paying attention. I should have been a little bit more set up here, but that's part of it, right? So now look at the timer. It's only 25 seconds. When I talk about speed running, in terms of loot and rotation, you have to be extremely fast because the zone does kick pretty quick. I like to run specifically the car SMG because it's flexible and there's not necessarily the most amazing amount of loot, so it's a good weapon to load out with. I don't run the R301 as much. What I'm going to be looking for is hopefully a mid-range weapon such as 30-30 or a sniper. Anything along those lines is always very strong. The downside of the car, though, remember that it does not use any laser sight, so the hip fire can be a little rough. See how I swap ammo types here from light to heavy? Now I have a pretty healthy balance overall. I really need overall a sight. That'll make a big difference. I will hang on my teammates, be very, very close. Looks like there's an armor over here. We should literally be ready to rotate and go. I'm going to ping this extra armor for my teammate so they're aware. I actually might swap over to the longbow just because it's actually a little more beneficial, and I'll run heavy instead of light. I will ping 120 light for my teammates here. And there is a possibility that the team could run up on the north side there, so I'll go over my teammates over here. Usually what you can do to speed up your loot rotation is use your mobility. Like if I'm Vantage as an example, I can speed up my loot pattern quite a bit. So I'm going to go over there. I might as well do that now. I hit crouch. Make sure to put echo away. I need to change that keybind. There we go. So my keybinds got a little reset. I was doing a little tournament today. Macros tournament, and I changed some of my keybinds just accordingly, so I forgot to change that. So with the zone closing, you'll see that it's already behind us, and the zone is already closing there. There's already 14 people still remaining in the lobby. People tend to ate pretty early on. One thing I could do is possibly just craft some ammo, so I have some sniping ammo in reserve, and craft some batteries. If you see your teammates are a little slow, it's okay. Honestly, if your teammates are slow. Placement is important. We all have blue armors. If you're Vantage, remember, scouting out armors is very, very important. It can be very beneficial towards a squad. And I'm ready to rotate. So I'm kind of stuck in the middle between my two teammates here, to be honest. One is a little more overextended than the other, so I'm going to go push with the Octane just to be up front and center. The worst thing that can happen is the Octane will jump pad us out, and the Bloodhound will just have to essentially play catch up. Hopefully these guys come by and watch the video. I'm going to do my best. I always do. So what you're seeing here, we landed pretty safe, and I wonder if the next episode, or sorry, in the next round, you'll see that perhaps the teams will actually drop much hotter, and then we'll end up spectating. But as you can tell, if you land towards the edge of the map, you'll see, if we're just kind of, if you even were spectating in the lobby, that the number drops, well, pretty quick. You just want to be on top of the teammates. There still might be the team located on the right of us, so we got to keep an eye on that. We are making a lot of noise, but it's okay. Just gonna scout out. I should be okay. Are they? I heard a shot. Okay, they're fighting, which is that team that we're talking about that might rotate. There's a crack there. Knocked. I'm gonna push up and try to play aggro here. My thing is on CD, but at least I can play with my teammate here. Get out! Get out! That was a good use of advantage. Tactical. Might get jumped on, unfortunately. But that is the best that we can do there. So we'll spectate the rest of the lobby. We'll talk about the flow. Remember, we knew that team was possibly going to be over there, but I ran over with the Octane anyways, just to be with the Octane, hoping that the other team would rotate to zone. Now, that doesn't always happen, unfortunately. Sometimes if somebody gets caught out, if you fall behind, that's really what will happen. If I stayed with the Bloodhound, maybe I would have been okay. What if the Bloodhound could have gotten, or sorry, the Octane could have gotten caught out here because the team was rotating that way? It's very RNG based, so the best tip I can provide is to stay with your team. Stay with your team, stay with your team. And if you're forced to make a decision, realistically, if I was with the Octane, maybe we fought up ahead over there instead. Try to reset as much as humanly possible. Looks like this team already got into a fight. It's possible this team rotated from swamps over to rig. Maybe they landed close by. We unfortunately didn't hear the shots. They are having to deal with zone. Remember, this zone 1 almost hurts like zone 2 at the moment. So it's some solid entry damage on their part, but right now they're at a disadvantage. One of them is definitely further back, the Vantage, so we're going to swap back over to this POV and take a look here. Now, this isn't good because the zone is going to truck. Even though they're popping a battery, they're going to literally die to zone, and it's going to be zone 2, and it's not going to be light at all. If they do not pop a syringe right now, they're literally going to die to zone, and there we go. That's the unfortunate part. That does happen. So now, the Vantage is trying to play catch-up, essentially. The Vantage can definitely use her tactical ability, but the biggest thing on Kings Canyon is you got to stay on top of each other. The goal is to get to zone as fast as possible and stay on top of each other, because otherwise you may get caught out. Because even here, there could be a team located on the upper right-hand side on this corner here, rather than, you know, them coming out to zone. A lot of people make this mistake, especially on early levels here. And yes, this Bloodhound is actually getting 6 eliminations. There's a lot of KP here. They got to slow down their game. There's top 7, so they're going to get a lot of points out of this, so massive benefit to their squad. As they keep hugging the zone, you'll notice, and this is interesting, even tournaments haven't really gotten used to the pacing quite yet, because the zone is closing so fast and everyone has to adjust to it. And with the resources being extremely tight, you'll notice he was running to zone, but he still came back just to get a few resources that's definitely needed because the loot table feels so thin. But I promise you, if you loot and you run to zone and you pick up the scraps and you find a solid rotation, you're going to find that you're going to be in a much more positive state and set, rather than trying to just run at a team and third party them outside of zone and the fight taking too long. Some tips at the fight, this is what I'm talking about. It's really rough. You're fighting more of the zone than you're fighting teams. Go to zone as fast as possible, because flush heals actually were reduced a few seasons ago. I can't remember the season. Somebody can remind me in the comments down below. That the flush heals were reduced, and so therefore it can definitely feel a lot, especially in Kings Canyon, more strict in terms of resources that you have available to yourself. Now keep in mind the zone closes in a minute and 19, a minute and 15, and there's most likely going to be a team located in Cage. It's only 6 squads, so it's very possible that they're mostly on the south side of the map. They actually might luck out. This team could actually win just out of the sheer fact that they've already eliminated most of the north side of the map, and the north side of the map should be free. So it looks like it's pulling to the south side. It looks like it's pulling towards map rim. So if you had the question, where's the best place to land? Now, this is the interesting part where you come into the theories, right? It does, like, this video could influence it if it gets hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views, but maybe this video only gets 1,000, or maybe it only gets 5,000. So there could be that player base that starts to shift, and it might change the meta depending on how many people actually watch this video. Because if I tell you the main goal is to get to zone as quickly as possible, what happens to those that all rush to the center of the zone and they start fighting and they don't respect each other's positioning and they don't coexist? Well, then the pacing of the round is going to change altogether. Right now in the meta, everyone is getting caught out or on edge, and everyone's getting eliminated very, very early on. So be mindful of that. Notice if you notice a shift, it comes through word of mouth. What if in a month somebody else makes a YouTube video and does a way better job than I'm ever doing in the content here, and you notice the pacing starts to change? It takes the whole player base to start to make the pacing change. Really solid knock there, by the way, from this team. They do play close together. It's possible they got into an early fight as well, like we mentioned at the very start of the round, and they're essentially just having to mop up and just go for the pacing that they have. Play with your teammates. Don't get caught out. You have to go to zone. I don't know how much to stress that enough, because now this team, I know like you want to get additional kills, but sometimes getting a little too greedy could mean your elimination here. I don't want to call into existence, but if there is a team located here ready to gate them, it could cause what you're seeing here. It could cause an upset. It could be frustrating, because the zone does kind of start to chonk a little bit. And you notice that the two teammates are, let's look at Horizon South Pole. It's not that bad, but it can be bad when you're in a fight. And this team is actually feeling it right now. What if this team rotated much faster instead of them? That's something to be very mindful of. So the question is, what are good comps to run if you're watching lobbies that play out like this? Well, if you want to go to center of zone, then you want to be able to run a comp that feels very secure, like a Watson or a Caustic, somebody who can anchor center of zone. But at the same time, you want speed and momentum to make sure teams don't just roll you over. So you got to have a healthy balance, right? This is a comp that you're watching right now that is very edge heavy, meaning that they're ready to fight on the edge. Like, they can't necessarily secure a building extremely well, but their vantage can definitely put a lot of pressure to stop a team from rolling up. So remember how I talked about them possibly getting gated? There's a team located behind them. If this fight extends longer than 45 seconds, they're going to run into a major problem. So what they're trying to do is shorten that time frame by doing damage, and the Vantage is doing a great job, and I don't know if she realizes her ult is out. I guess pay attention to your ammo count. And this is another tip for Vantage. I talked about this. Try not to get too far behind your team, because notice that their Bloodhound almost got eliminated. And we'll see how this plays out. We'll switch over. Right now they have a pretty high chance of survival here. That's not a good sign. Okay, it's pretty solid, pretty solid. They can mop this up. Looks like they're pretty well coordinated. Now it's a little too close for comfort. So what I was going to call here, what problem happened is that the Vantage was a little too far behind. You want to get your entry damage, and you want to be able to move up as fast as possible. Otherwise, if one person is further behind in the fight and the Bloodhound needs to reset, the Horizon has to cover, or it becomes a 3v2 or 2v2, or 2v1, excuse me. And that's not necessarily what you want to run into. You want to have the odds pretty much in your favor. And look at this team. This is a team that started shooting them, or it looks like they were right behind them, essentially. Like I said, if that team did not mop up them within like 40 seconds, they would have gotten run up behind. So now that team is in their resetting, they don't know their circumstance, and they're going to have to rotate to zone. The zone closes in 10 seconds, so they need to make sure to get in to zone, because this zone is not nice whatsoever. Now, whether or not this is healthy for the game or not, I would say this is a healthy change in my opinion. Keep in mind this is one man's opinion, that this is pretty healthy for, let's say, Storm Point. But for Kings Canyon, I think it might be a little rough. I don't know, maybe casuals may struggle with this a bit more, specifically in ranked. It makes for a lot more action. It means you have to go to zone and really respect the zone. But let me know in the comments down below, what do you think about the zone changes, seeing how it plays out even in higher tier quote-unquote lobbies, because this is currently around 0.5% of the overall player base compared to 10%. Just throwing those numbers out there. If you go look at the rank distribution, you'll see that's what it looks like. Because the zone does hurt, and it puts you in circumstances or situations you may not necessarily want to be in. This team is rotating pretty safely. They know the team's in front of them, but now they're on the low ground. What if they were able to rotate to zone and get high ground much faster? Your comp is very important as well, so I'm going to highlight this comp. This comp has no verticality, meaning nobody can get up to hide up there. There's no Horizon, there's no Valkyrie, there is no Ashport. They have a Wraith that can move horizontally. They have a Loba that can move vertically on her own. So that means that they're most likely going to have to continue to play low ground. So it's important to have, you have to keep things in mind. Do we have a way to get up? Do we have a way to anchor? Do we have a way to push? Do we have a way to get out? You're not going to be able to have every single one of those resources, but just be mindful of what is going to be your strength and weakness in the comp that you're running. So an example of the comp we were running earlier, we had Octane, which can get us to height because it can play verticality together. But again, you can comment down below. I know this series is really special and unique, and I appreciate all of you guys for watching. I don't know how impactful it is sometimes. I try to provide as many tips here. Comment down below, because this happens to be one of the more popular series, and I guess I just try my best because I want you guys to feel like you're understanding the flow of these rounds. And trust me, even for a lot of the pro players, these changes do feel a lot more dramatic than you think. That's why when you go to their streams, it feels like they're complaining about it. It's like being in your own home. And then you sell that home and then somebody lives there. It can feel really weird because it was once your comfort zone, but it's no longer comfortable anymore. That's where a lot of the pros have been feeling like recently when playing specifically in ranked or tournaments. It just doesn't feel right yet, but it can. It doesn't mean that the changes that they made into the game are wrong. It just means that the changes are occurring. So this is smart on this team's part. They're trying to take height, and when they get to height, they can anchor it up here. This is a really smart play on their part, so the other two teams can fight unless they're located right down below. When in doubt, try to get height, or try to rotate so height is not watching you. So notice how this team was really smart and that they rotated to a different angle. But you have to be careful not to get cracked and be respectful of your resources. Another quick little tip, jump shotting is not necessarily always the best option to do because it just makes you an easier target. Looks like they're opting to kind of breach this, but also making sure not to get greedy. If there's only 3 teams remaining, then they kind of pushed without their teammate there. I'm pretty sure that Bangalore must be screaming at their teammates, wondering where they were at. So the Bangalore overcommitted, and this can happen with teams that may not be as coordinated together. So now the Wraith and the Bangalore have to make a choice. The Wraith is kind of inside, and the Loba just hasn't really made a decision. This team was doing really, really well before, but all it takes is a simple mistake like this of not playing together or not going in on a decision or even being split. And it can be really hard because you may be playing really, really well, and then maybe your teammate just runs out, and then you might comment down below and say, well, Daz, what can I do? You just have to make a decision to stick with one person or the other, and then sometimes it plays out in your favor, and sometimes it doesn't. I promise you that you will gain RP as you continue to improve. I promise. I promise, 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 promise. I mean, this account I had been doing mostly solo. I get it up to plat so that I can play at this MMR where it's pretty much where I think, not say casual, but casual to veteran players will mostly play at. When we start looking at Diamond Plus, you start looking at players that are playing this game professionally, and that's something really to be mindful of. And, oh no, that's not, oh no, going right back up. Make sure to top off, make sure to heal. This is they're playing this at least to the best of their ability, because the plus side is that, well, there are 2 teams that could just run up on each other, and if they play this patient, they could essentially third or at least secure second place. Look how many points they've gone up. 295. That's really solid. That was another change that they made in ranked, by the way, where there's no diminishing returns. So the points that you get, well, they really stack, and it's quite nice. A great way to rank up and level up. Now, this team, all they have to do is essentially just play it very, very passive and just wait for at least second place, and it could go to a heal off. And if they see a knock, they got to pay attention to the kill feed. If they pay attention to the kill feed, they might be able to make actually a play. They have to play it patient. If this team ran up right now, that would kind of defeat the purpose of this. So watching your kill feed is actually really important to know whether or not you can push something or not. You want to always get that ideal third party. You want the odds to be in your favor. You don't necessarily want to just take 1v1s. Pretty smart positioning here. Initially, they were using the head glitch, which they should have just stayed using the head glitch. What's interesting about this player is that they're very aware of their hitbox, but then they'll 1 second later make a mistake about their hitbox, right? And keep in mind, you can have the perfect positioning, but then if your teammates just aren't clutching it out, you have to make a decision either to run or try to make a play and do the best you can. It's okay. That's why, unfortunately, when I say ranked as a time sink, think about when you play casual play. You don't always win. Sometimes you get good games. Sometimes you don't. You kind of have to equalize it out. And don't get upset if you're not necessarily high ranked. Sometimes it's not necessarily a reflection of skill. That is more a reflection of time. Notice this head glitch? They're running at him. This is great positioning. This Wraith has got pretty solid positioning. They're aware of their hitbox, but look how small. They're just running up on them for free, and he's able to dish out a lot of damage, but he's not getting greedy and overextending on it. And he's able to maintain resources, and the team has to essentially make a decision. So this is a great angle to hold. The Loba's holding the other ankle down below. It's really hard to hold the same angle together, so that's something to be mindful of. It's why the Loba, essentially, if they both hold the angle, they can both essentially get hit, which is why the Wraith is taking another angle here. So be mindful of that. It's why you see that damage is the best way to stop a team from putting out pressure. If you want the best defense is a good offense, and if you have a good offensive damage, no team is ever going to run up on you. All right, the best thing they can do is literally just wait this out, wait for the other two teams to fight, and this usually will end up in a heal off. There's no self-revive, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. That is also a benefit. Wraith looks like she's just kind of holding the angle here, making sure they don't run up. And unfortunately, this may cause a bit of... They have great positioning here, and they do have to move. But because the team's above, I bet you the team from above is going to drop. And it's just the best play that they got. So the Loba is going to hold, and hopefully she can get at least a bat off here, which they do great. Arc Star, that's fantastic. All they got to do is play it patient, and that was their best play. It was really, really smart on their part. They needed to play that because that's where the zone was... Well, it's going to necessarily push outside, and they couldn't go outside, so they didn't really have much of an option. The other team, this team could win. They could win if they play it patiently. On the inside, they got the bats, they got the reset. As long as the Vantage here doesn't overextend and get a little too greedy, should be okay. Just got to play it really, really safe and maintain that wall and hitbox as small as possible. So hopefully they don't overextend. If they overextend and create an opening, that's going to be bad. And they double shot together, so it's a great push. 3v2 scenario at this point. Fantastic moment to push on. If they didn't push on this, that would be that they're throwing their own game. It's a great angle on their part, and they're going to take height here and slide right in and juke, and that's the end of the game. So congrats to that team. Played really, really well. We're going to segue to game 2 now. And what's weird is that I even see a lot of pubs and a lot of gold and silver lobbies play out at the same pacing. It doesn't really change the pacing. There's a lot of people that now understand to play end zone. It's a matter of getting to end zone. So I encourage all of you to work your way into end zone because you're going to get your points and it's just going to work out for you. Try not to get too greedy in terms of looting and rotate to zone. We'll see how we do in this one. Now, I'm going to take a drink of water. I'm going to encourage everyone who's watching to drink because I've been talking for quite a bit. Drink water because these rounds, they last anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes, depending how fast. If they go to the very end of the zone, it can go upwards of 30 minutes. And sometimes if the rounds are faster, they can end around 20 minutes, which means after 2 rounds, it's an hour. And these videos that I post are probably around 40 to 50 minutes, depending. And it's important to drink water, so I can't stress that enough either. So I just took my drink of water, and what I love about this series is that I try to make it as real and authentic as possible, because you're seeing what really happens in these lobbies. I'm not sugarcoating it. You're seeing it raw. These rounds are back to back. So how they're changing and the advice I would give was not going to necessarily change. It's going to be the same advice. Just a reminder, this series does have a lot of talking, and that's the whole point. I'm trying to fill it up with as many tips, how things are going, thoughts, what the community is thinking, what I've seen, how much I've been doing ranked, because this is my alt account, my main, I've already hit Masters on. And let's take a look at our comp. And it's okay, if you don't necessarily have a good comp, it doesn't mean that it's over, right? It doesn't mean that you're going to lose the round.
I'm the jump master.
So right now, unpass it to them, because most likely, if you're solo, your other two teammates are most likely a duo together. So I want them to be cohesive and have them feel a lot more comfortable. Now, we're running Octane, Revenant, and Vantage. So we definitely have verticality with Octane. Looks like we're kind of running Revtane, which is, you know, I won't point. It was kind of a meme kind of comp. But Revenant does have a lot of synergy with Octane. It's definitely a very loud comp. We are definitely an aggro edge zone. Very hard for us to hold the center of the zone. Now, it looks like we're landing Relic. Now, it isn't a bad thing to try to get your early KP. Just be mindful if you're not comfortable fighting and that the rank points have all gone up by 5 points across the board. So it looks like we might be uncontested. We just got to loot fast. So I'm going to take this line right here. So I'm landing a little bit separate from them. Looking around. Looks like we're uncontested. Oh, we DC'd. That's why he's playing it safe. That makes sense. So I'm going to loot as much as possible. At least say hello. Hey, what's going on? Hello. Did your friend DC? Yeah, you're good. No worries. I'm going to loot this line over here, so just in case somebody runs up. Now, the other person's mic, I don't know, was a little louder. This one seems, they seem like they're more cohesive together, so also a plus. And the best thing you could do is, another tips and advice, be respectful to others while you're doing this. Ranked is not easy. It's very time consuming. When people set around time, remember an hour or 2 hours can be a lot of time for a lot of individuals, especially for those that work full-time jobs. I'm recording this pretty much in the middle of the night when my wife is already asleep, and it's usually whenever I get time to do this kind of stuff. And it's not easy, okay? So you never know what somebody else is going through and how difficult it can be for them to get time on. And the worst thing that anybody wants to deal with is somebody else who is toxic or frustrated at one another, right? And everyone's always doing the best they can. Oh, they already have blues, so I'm going to grab this purple down. So just a big tip, especially with the zone closing, it can be a lot, it can feel like a lot more pressure. There's not as much loot, and it can be a lot more frustrating. There's a lot of changes to the game that most people aren't comfortable with. And so while maybe you are a more seasoned player, the others may not be as comfortable. Your goal is to make other people feel as comfortable, because if they feel comfortable, they will perform better. I can't tell you how many times I will res, drop armor, try to accommodate teammates, just because it will help them, incentivize them to play better and do more with you and for you. I realistically should run that arc star, but it's okay. All right, so teammates are here. I'm going to put the 2x4 on the flat line, excuse me, the longbow. And now I have my close range and long range. So pretty solid. Not a bad loadout. This isn't a bad loadout whatsoever. Now, the zone is already pulling, you can see. We should already be kitted. We've looted most of Relic, but we got to get to zone. We got to get to zone as quick as possible, because if we don't get to zone, what happens? Remember the rule, you get gated. You can hear the teams that are in front of us. Actually, I think that was actually behind. He was hitting the hole.
Do anybody see that heavy mag, the gold one?
I could use it, but we got to get to zone. I'm just fine with rotating. We just have to go.
I'll pick it up for you. So.
Thank you, I appreciate it. That's a good teammate. What a good guy. Picking up loot for your teammates is actually really, really huge, because I can't rotate back to it. If I do, by the time I get in, I need to go. I actually need to start looking up ahead. I'm being a bad teammate by not looking up ahead. Essentially, you should be looking your angles, looking at what's coming, and my teammate will bring that gold mag for me. Yeah, there's a Sear ult down right there. We can go past it. We can probably gate that team by the time they come in.
Yeah.
They're pretty hard committed right now. Oh, another Sear ult just went out. I might take height and just take a look at it. I'll let you know. I'll get out if needed. Okay, so I'm by myself. I'm making kind of a big decision here by doing this, because essentially...
It's probably a good clean.
Yeah, I'm looking. They're inside right now. I don't have any visual. Let me try to get an angle. I'm not going to drop. They're inside here. I'm going to wait for you guys. Once you guys are ready, we can push in. They got a caustic, so it might be hard to push. Finding a caustic in the zone, by the way, is very difficult, chat. I think they've already cleaned up. Pushing in, pushing in. Oh, they're still fighting. Taking nothing in.
Looking at me.
Nice. I gotta go back. Taking the other angle. I finished the other wraith. I can barely see, but I'm just gonna take the shots anyways. There we go. Very nice cleanup. Gotta swap fast and get to zone.
We should loot up and get out.
Now this team knows what they're doing.
Here's your gold.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Alright, we gotta go. I just need heavy ammo. That's the only thing. No window shopping.
Just get out.
Yeah. Heavy. So heavy. There we go. I don't need much.
I don't have a backpack, like a good one, to carry a bunch of ammo, so.
I gotcha. I'm looking. No, it's not much. Okay.
I got a blue one now.
Nice. Okay, we're good. Now we rotate. You see how
Let's get out of here.
efficient this team is? This is actually a really good team. And this is all RNG. Like, the teammates I had earlier, I probably should have opened my mic. I should have said something. I will take ownership of that. I went to the Octane. I just... You have to get the vibes of a team. You never know if they're going to curse or they're going to be mean or they're not. Do your best judgment, guys, and I trust that you'll make the right call if you feel your team is competent or they're going to be disrespectful or not. If they if you can tell they might be a little disrespectful or you're a little worried, it's okay to mute and rely on pings. There's no harm in it.
3 different teams over there, I think.
Let's take a look. Yep. I'm looking.
One up there.
Let's see.
I'm gonna go grab this care package and we can go up there, maybe.
2 purples and a blue up top up there. But yeah, full squad of 3. This is where Vantage comes in handy, so relaying that information is really key. Like, if we run into a team that has full blue armors, that's a perfect moment to call, or sorry, all blue, yeah, all blue. It's a perfect moment. We have all purples, so it's a great moment to push. All right, now we're on low ground. It can be very, very scary playing from the low ground, but, you know, we do the best we can. I'm going to follow, keep close with the Octane. It's always tricky to do this series sometimes because you're kind of juggling a bit. I make mistakes too. I'm not perfect. It's okay to make mistakes. People make mistakes in tournaments. I even saw Nicewig reply to Drumbum. They were teammates in Macro's tournament where I threw 1 game. I mean, it happens. Pros make mistakes too. Good players make mistakes. I mean, I can look at the VOD and be like, oh, I should have done that better. I should have done that better. That's the whole point of the series. I want you guys to see the good things that happen and the not so positive things, right?
The people up here.
I'm fighting outside of zone. I can move up and take a look.
One's right here. One's right here.
Snipe him.
They're still in zone.
Yep. Let's rotate to the left and gate him up top.
Pick up your feet.
Yeah.
We can gate like right. We should probably go to zone. What do you guys think? I really should go to zone.
We can just go to zone right in front of them, pretty much.
Yeah, that works for me. It's kind of what I was kind of hinting at, but
No, there's gonna be 2 teams behind us.
I'm gonna take height up here so I can look down. Something is up here.
Need a new angle
Be
on
really
this.
loud.
Let's see where they're at.
I'm
Try
just
to
gonna keep on
find-
going.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't have any visual. I might have missed them. I might have already rotated. Oh, they actually pushed further into zone and fought them. That's crazy. That's weird. I don't know who does. Oh, it's zone 2. I don't understand. Well, it's fine. We get top 5. You know, get KP. It's fine with me. But you see that, like, it's not necessarily a bad call if you do it together, because they could always come out of zone. That's where Valkyrie can really come in. I know Valkyrie got nerfed, but even in the tournament that was playing earlier today, it's interesting because you will find that even though Legends have been nerfed, that they're still very strong in certain aspects. So I remember when Seer got initially nerfed and nobody used him in rank. Seer hasn't been adjusted since, gosh, it's been a hot minute. And now he's meta. Sometimes all it takes is a good player to give good comms and good synergy to make a Legend truly meta, right? That's one of the biggest things. Because we have Revenant right now, and Revenant seems fine. We're a little far from the Revenant, but Revenant was climbing. Revenant seems to be doing pretty solid. They have pretty solid comms. It looks like he was his friend, so I know he's paying attention to his friend. If he was super far behind and felt uncomfortable, probably comment. I'll hit beacon here if you guys want to watch.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, looks like we're good, so I looked everywhere. Look left, look right before I'm crossing the street. Essentially, solid meme. And there's ending zone right there.
One up there.
All right, coming over. I'm away, I'm away. But you see that this is the cohesion that you're looking for, and you can... All players will always play this way as long as like we make a mental shift together as a community. I'm not saying I can do it alone. I'm saying with all of you guys together, we can change this mentality of playing 2 separate and playing more together. You can play more together and play aggro. I mean, it's not like we haven't necessarily made a push or tried to fight anything, right? I mean, we did push and fight, right? It's just a matter of finding the right engagements to get into, and that's really key. And we made a good choice whenever we push market. If they were in shambles, then we probably wouldn't have fought.
There's a team right there.
With you, with you. Okay, looks like they're going to fight, so this could be a little bad, depending on the jump.
There was someone to the right of the bus. I don't know if they're there, so.
Almost cracked him. Shoot. Not too bad. I kind of screwed up my keybinds. Oh, shoot. I kind of threw him. This is my fault. I moved my push to talk button, so that's my fault. I'm sorry. I feel bad. I ended up pulling my ult.
How we can't kill one person, but cool.
Oh, GG's, man. And he seemed very nice at the start, but sometimes, you know, people say certain things and kind of is what it is. I did shoot that one guy. I made a major mistake whenever I pressed my key button and just pressed the wrong one. So, like I said earlier in the video, I kind of moved some of my keybinds around just a little bit for the tournament. I wanted to be a little more comfortable, and I forgot to change them back. So, hey everybody, this is Daz from the future. I want to highlight that I accidentally left that lobby. I got so hung up on a point that I want to make, and you're going to see the point that I want to talk about because a teammate was not necessarily the most positive. It wasn't the most negative comment either. And I got a little hung up on it that I forgot to spectate the rest of the round. It's a little late, so I feel really bad. And I know I'm going to get a lot of comments saying, Daz, how dare you? You didn't watch the rest of the round. So I feel really bad. But I think that the point was really important. So I just wanted to put this into the video because I was looking, I was like, oh no, what have I done? It just hit me, but I was on a thought process and I just thought it was so important. So let's segue to that point. And I just wanted to apologize. Thank you guys for understanding if you do. Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, they didn't knock anybody. We didn't knock anybody. They kind of had the jump on us. And we really should have pushed the guy on the right instead. That actually probably would have been more of the better decision there. And like we wrap up, I mean, that person doesn't know I'm making a video. Maybe he's probably going to be upset because I was making a video and probably not focusing as much. And I'm trying to calm and try to give advice and tips all on the fly. But, I mean, that's what we do this when we grow together, right? There's no reason to make any negative remarks or being negative with your teammates because comments like that always sit with individuals, right? I'm not really sure what when somebody makes a negative remark, what the intended goal or purpose really is. But always be positive. We went up RP, technically. We went down and we went back up. And all I got to do is just keep doing the same thing, just like I was doing earlier in the season when I started off now. Sometimes I squad up with teams, sometimes I do it solo. And this series, I just want to highlight like just a brief moment of doing it solo. Realistically, we could have clutched it out. Could have been just fine. The biggest takeaway there is if the person was on the right, we all shove the right. Your goal is to always find the person who's isolated, and this is always in hindsight. You can, if you want tips and advice on how to improve, it's trying to speed up the thought process where if you VOD review, you can isolate the problem. We saw the guy on the right, we should have just pushed someone by themselves on the right. I would also make sure that I properly keybind. I'm not changing keybinds before I start playing, but I started recording the series and kind of is how it plays out. Be respectful of your teammates. Remember, zone closes really, really quickly. Play zone as much as possible. Try not to get caught out in the low ground. If you do, reposition and try to anchor together and try to find a reset. Maybe he wasn't really playing with his friend there. I'm not really sure if he was just upset. Try to assume that most people are in comms together or they're going to calm the best of their ability. Nobody necessarily wants to lose, right? Everyone is going to be very competitive and wants to win. So I'm going to wrap us up episode 8 here. I want your thoughts. I didn't really play as well as I normally do, but then again, I've been playing a lot today, so it could be just fatigue. And remember, it started lagging there for a second. I don't know what's going on. And remember, I'm going to close on this thought. Remember what happens whenever you fatigue. There's only a certain number of hours that you have within you as a person before you start to get a little tired and you don't perform optimally. So if I already did a tournament today and I'm recording this video and I already went out and ran errands and it's the middle of the night, I might be a little tired myself. And it's okay. Realize that as well, and that'll help you also in your rank series when to call it quits. When just to say, okay, I'm tired, I gotta get off for the day. So I'm sorry, I might be rambling a little bit, but I feel like that I don't think I've necessarily hit on that point in the series so far in ranked. So I kind of wanted to make sure it was very, very important. Again, I appreciate all of you guys for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all in the next episode.